Hot blood and refreshing text. Along the way of martial arts cultivation, blood clotting becomes strength, refining strength and qi, transforming qi in simulating objects, walking in the air, gathering fluids and leaving the body, gathering and liquefying spirits, promoting spiritual intelligence, and ultimately becoming spiritual power, striving for the position of spiritual martial arts. A young man carrying a heavy sword, after obtaining an arm of the heavenly dragon, began his own legend cultivation level. Wuzhe. Wusher. Wuwang. Wuhuang. Wusheng. Wudi. Wuxian. Lingwu. PS1. Recommend your other fairy tale novel, Ling Ding. PS2. Shaoqian Xinjian Iron Rod Reader Group, welcome to join the legitimate novel reading website readers. 161338322, keywords of the novel. Lingwu no pop-ups, download the complete collection of Lingwu TXT, and read the latest chapters of Lingwu. Chapter 1. Chu Feiyun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sunshine is bright and cloudless for thousands of miles. A young man stood naked on a clearing next to a waterfall in the forest, holding a pitch-black épée in his left hand and constantly waving it. The black épée was not much taller than the young man's, and the young man waved one arm without showing any difficulty. At this moment, he was completely focused, sweating like rain, and unconscious. The young man was around 14 years old, with bright eyes and a resolute face that was unmatched by his peers. The scar at the corner of his eyes added a hint of coldness to his demeanor. The most special thing is that the young man's right arm naturally hangs down, swinging as if it were boneless. That's right, the young man's right arm is a residual arm. 90.7, 90.8, 90.9, 1000. Once you reach the peak of the 9th level martial artist, you will know your background. Come on, Chu Feiyun. Who? Chu Feiyun put down his black heavy sword and swung it 1,000 times, which was not an easy task. He sat on the ground, gasping for breath, covered in sweat, and the soreness in his arm muscles was clear. The Lingwu continent advocates martial arts, and the entry-level stage of martial arts is the martial artist. The realm of martial artists is also known as the basic 9th level, which is divided into 9 levels. Nowadays, Chu Feiyun is already a 7th level martial artist, and as long as he breaks through the peak of the 9th level, he can enter the martial artist realm. Becoming a martial arts master allows one to establish a martial arts school, teach apprentices, and become a respected figure of the local generation. However, Chu Feiyun hasn't thought so much yet. He just wants to quickly increase his strength to the 9th level peak, because at that time he can know his own background. This is his agreement with his grandfather. Sister, wait for me. Chu Feiyun clenched his fists, his eyes clear, and his slightly green face full of determination. His diligent cultivation was not only because he wanted to know his background, but also because he wanted to go find his sister. Chu Feiyun was raised by his grandparents since childhood, and he didn't know who his parents were. Coupled with his disabled arm, he was often bullied by his peers. For so many years, apart from his grandparents, his sister Cheer has always been his closest person, and all of this changed a year ago. On that day, Chu Feiyun will never forget that his closest sister was kidnapped by a mysterious person. Chu Feiyun hated himself for not having the strength. With his countless pleadings, his grandfather finally began to formally teach him martial arts and passed on the nameless heavy sword to him. In just 1 year, Chu Feiyun went from practicing as a 3rd-level martial artist to practicing as a 7th-level martial artist, and the amount he paid was the amount he gained. It's time to practice the soul-destroying sword technique. Chu Feiyun's somewhat wandering gaze turned back and he stood up holding a black épée. He knew his talent was not much stronger than others, and his only advantage was diligence. Who? Sword and shield. With a loud shout from Chu Feiyun, the black heavy sword in his hand danced rapidly, forming a dense sword shadow wall in front of him in the blink of an eye. The sword shadow wall was entirely composed of the back of the heavy sword. Hu! Sword and wind blade. The heavy sword danced again, and the black heavy sword had already formed 8 sword shadows in front of Chu Feiyun in his breath. However, this time each sword shadow was its unsheathed blade. Drink. Single sword slash. The shadow of the sword flashed by, and a large blue stone in front of Chu Feiyun had been cut into inches by a black heavy sword, with cracks crisscrossing. The single sword slash is still a bit difficult to use. Chu Feiyun sighed slightly as his left arm's blue veins bulged, and he immediately exerted force to insert his black heavy sword into the soil with a loud bang. This can be considered as the end of the morning's training. Chu Feiyun's grandfather, Tianluo, once said that the 9th level of martial arts is the process of laying the foundation, which is particularly important. Physical strength is the most important part of this process, because only with a strong physique can one easily withstand the pressure brought by true qi and go further. Chu Feiyun stood up, and a jade pendant hanging around his neck swayed in front of his muscular chest. The jade pendant was light green, crystal clear and pure, with the character Chu engraved on the front and a human figure pattern with wings, sharp corners on the head, and a magical pattern all over his body on the back. This jade pendant has been with Chu Feiyun since he was born, and it is also the only thing left to him by his parents whom he has never met. Find some food. Chu Feiyun, who had been practicing all morning, also felt a bit hungry. He picked up a few small stones from the ground and walked towards the depths of the forest. But soon, 3 or 4 wild rabbits hung on Chu Feiyun's black heavy sword. Pop! A stone flew out of Chu Feiyun's hand at lightning speed, and a wild rabbit was directly pierced through his body. This flying stone skill was recently developed by Chu Feiyun and is very useful against some of his small beasts. Chu Feiyun walked towards the corpse of the wild rabbit, and just as he reached out to pick it up, he saw a green python darting out of the bushes, with its mouth wide open and rushing straight towards him. Hiss! The bright red snake swallowed out and saw Chu Feiyun's green python with a pair of triangular eyes that lit up. Spirit beast! Chu Feiyun was taken aback and didn't dare to be careless. He poured all the inner strength he had just condensed into 3 small stones and aimed it at the green python with all his might. Pop pop. 3 stones, 2 hit the yellow eyeballs of the python, and 1 hit its bloody mouth. Its powerful force pierced through the python's head and directly penetrated into the thick trees behind it. Pai! Pa! The dry firewood under the grill crackled, and a strong aroma of meat wafted out from the golden rabbit meat in Chu Feiyun's hand. Chu Feiyun sat on a blue stone, focused on barbecue, occasionally scattering some small seasonings on it. Beside him was a python corpse with a bull mouth thick and about 20 meters long, but his head was already flesh and blood blurred. This internal strength is really useful. Chu Feiyun sighed that he was able to kill this spirit beast with just 1 strike, thanks to the inner strength in his own elixir field. The 9th level of a warrior is the process of condensing essence and blood, from the 1st to the 3rd level, and from the 4th to the 6th level, it is the process of condensing internal strength. Chu Feiyun is now the 7th level of a warrior and has just condensed a trace of internal strength. Pop! A sound disrupted Chu Feiyun's thoughts, and as he looked towards the sound source, he saw a small creature with snow-white fur and plump flesh staring at him with wide eyes. Then, he looked at the roasted rabbit meat in his hand, and his furry little paw rubbed against his mouth. His watery eyes emitted a scorching light, and the sound it had just made was from stepping on a dry branch. 2 long ears hang on either side of its small head, and a short tail looks a bit like a puppy, but also somewhat different. Little one, here you are. Chu Feiyun casually tore off a large piece of leg meat from the roasted rabbit meat and threw it to the snow-white little beast. He immediately grabbed the meat in his mouth and ran to a small corner to bite it, his eyes occasionally looking around, afraid that others might snatch it. Just as the snow-white beast was eating and its mouth was dripping with oil, a black figure suddenly flew out of the nearby jungle, and a black furry paw kicked the snow-white beast away with one foot. With a loud bang, the snow-white little beast had already collided with a big tree, and then it fell vertically with the fluttering leaves, lying on the ground in a big shape. The snow-white little beast slowly got up from the ground, shook its little head, and rubbed its little buttocks with its snow-white claws. Then, it looked angrily at the guy who was enjoying rabbit meat. Its long ears fluttered from both sides of its head, exhaling fans, looking endless with you. Looking at the guy who came to grab food again, it was a small creature the size of a snow-white beast, but he had short ears and black hair all over his body. He had a long tail and also had a pair of big copper bell eyes. If the snow-white little beast has chubby flesh, then this dark little beast is undoubtedly a robust type, with a shape resembling a fierce big black cat, looking majestic and extraordinary. Ah! 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 The snow-white beast let out two angry howls and rushed towards the dark beast at an astonishing speed, but the dark beast seemed indifferent and continued to bite at the rabbit meat. And just as the snow-white beast was about to pounce on the dark beast like a white lightning bolt, the dark beast suddenly lifted its big black head. Roar! A black flame shot out from its mouth. Ah! The snow-white little beast didn't panic, opened its mouth wide, and the same white flame sprayed over. Genius spirit beast! At this moment, Chu Feiyun was amazed in his heart. Although it was his first time seeing a gifted spirit beast, he recognized it at a glance because he had already known in his grandfather's book that only gifted spirit beasts could unleash their divine powers. For example, the flames released from the mouths of two small beasts. P.S. When opening a new book, I don't want anything else but collection. I hope you can give me some awesome. Xiao Qian, thank you. Chapter 2. Heavenly Descending Dragon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. These two little beasts are probably not at the third level, but they can already use their innate powers and are definitely not ordinary gifted spirit beasts. The complete collection of spirit beasts in the Lingwu continent depicts the appearance of spirit beasts when they reach adulthood. What kind of spirit beasts are they? Chu Feiyun felt a little depressed. Two little beasts are still fighting fiercely. The black and white flames intertwined and devoured each other, emitting a pop and pop sound, but in the end, no one could help but let the other dissipate together. At this moment, the two little beasts were already fighting against each other, with one claw from you and the other from me, making a sound of oh and oh in their mouths. The two little creatures entwined together, rolling back and forth on the ground like a big black and white ball. Pop! The dark little beast finally found a chance, and with a successful sneak attack, the snow-white little beast was knocked out in one fell swoop. The snow-white little beast fell to the ground, but immediately got up and rushed towards the dark little beast again with a face full of anger, ready to fight again. Hey, you two! The two little beasts turned their heads together in a very humane way to look at Chu Feiyun. Chu Feiyun smiled slightly and pulled down the two front legs of the roasted rabbit meat, throwing one on each side. The two small beasts immediately rushed towards the rabbit meat on both sides, and then began to bite it in large bites. Seeing the cute way they wolfed it down, Chu Feiyun couldn't help but smile. Well, you two ate so fast, you guys had some good luck today. Chu Feiyun was somewhat surprised by the speed of these two foodies. He tore the remaining rabbit meat in half and threw it to them. Chu Feiyun immediately looked at the python beside him and muttered to himself, this python looks like a second-order spirit beast. Its teeth and skin should be worth some money. What about this meat, hee. Chu Feiyun took out a delicate short sword from his pocket and began dissecting the python after a moment. The roasted golden python meat emitted a strong meat aroma, making the two little ones drool. They stood upright with their legs, their small claws on their chests and hugged each other, looking at Chu Feiyun, their eyes filled with small stars. Here, foodie. Chu Feiyun joked and threw them 2 large pieces of python meat. The furry head of the snow-white little beast rubbed against Chu Feiyun's legs, rubbed again and again. The dark little beast cast a "I despise you" look at it, but seeing its bulging and round belly, it also enjoyed eating. After having lunch, Chu Feiyun stood under the waterfall and let the water flow hit him, constantly waving his heavy sword. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was almost dusk. 2 small beasts also accompanied Chu Feiyun for an afternoon. During this time, they found many fruits of different colors for Chu Feiyun, each with abundant juice and sweet taste. "Little one, I'm going home." Chu Feiyun scratched the head of the snow-white little beast with his hand and said. The snow-white little beast immediately showed a very humane expression of reluctance. Even the stubborn dark little beast was like this at this moment. "I practice here every day." Upon hearing Chu Feiyun's words, the 2 little ones immediately rejoiced and continued to wave their small claws at him, drawing and comparing. "Let me wait here for a while." Chu Feiyun pointed to himself and asked, and the 2 little beasts nodded and ran away. After a moment, both small beasts stood upright in front of Chu Feiyun, holding a blood-red fruit with both hands and legs. The blood-red fruit was crystal clear, with a faint dragon pattern visible on it. "For me?" Chu Feiyun asked, and both little beasts nodded. In an inconspicuous small thatched cottage in Dawn Village. An elderly man with a slightly emaciated appearance had a strange yet surprising look in his eyes, and he was none other than Chu Feiyun's grandfather, Tianluo. "You actually killed a 2nd-level demon python, good kid. It's equivalent to a 6th-level peak warrior, and the strength of spirit beasts is usually stronger. You haven't taken any damage yet. How did you do it?" "Grandpa, don't worry yet." "What do you think it is?" Watching the surprised appearance of Tianluo, Chu Feiyun handed him 2 blood-red fruits. "This is the blood-striped dragon fruit, a 3rd-level top-notch spirit fruit." "Yuner, where did you get it from?" Tianluo is even more strange now. "It's like this." Chu Feiyun recounted exactly what happened in the forest today. When Tianluo heard the words, "black and white flames," his face was filled with disbelief. He then solemnly said, "Yuner, get along well with those 2 little guys, and there may be unexpected gains in the future." Unexpected gains. Chu Feiyun is a bit confused. Tianluo smiled and said, "Yes, don't ask any more questions. You will understand then. Yuner, with these 2 blood-pattern dragon fruits and this demon python gallbladder, you will soon break through to become an 8th-level warrior." "Is it an 8th-level warrior?" Chu Feiyun smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth. Who? Who? Single sword slash. Bang! Chu Feiyun let out a loud shout, and the black sword shadow flashed past. A willow tree, which was thick and thin, split vertically in half from the center. At this moment, the 2 little guys next to Chu Feiyun looked at him anxiously. "I said black beans, white beans. It's still early before noon. Are you too hungry again? Didn't you just eat 3 grilled fish this morning?" Looking at the eager expression on the faces of the 2 little beasts, Chu Feiyun was somewhat speechless. Black bean and white bean were created by Chu Feiyun for these 2 little guys. They seemed to really like how Chu Feiyun called them. The relationship between the 2 little beasts and Chu Feiyun became even closer since that time. These 2 little guys would always come to find Chu Feiyun to deceive him into eating, drinking, and practicing together. Since having these 2 interesting little guys, Chu Feiyun's daily cultivation has not been so boring. His originally somewhat solitary personality has also undergone a slight change, but every time Chu Feiyun wants to bring black bean and white bean home, they refuse to say anything, and Chu Feiyun has no choice but to stop demanding. With the help of blood-striped dragon fruit and demon python gallbladder, Chu Feiyun has reached the rank of 8th-level martial artists. The breakthrough was quite thrilling. After entering Chu Feiyun's elixir field, the two blood-pattern dragon fruits transformed into two mini blood-red dragons, constantly tapping into the essence of the elixir field, causing Chu Feiyun to almost faint in pain. However, fortunately, with the demonic power of the python gallbladder and the powerful medicinal power of numerous herbs, the two mini dragons were refined. Chu Feiyun's essence and blood were drained from his body. Now, the green internal strength has occupied about 1/3 of the dantian, and each strand of internal strength is about the thickness of a finger. Although Chu Feiyun is not yet 15 years old, his height has grown to 1.8 meters and his muscles are bulging all over his body. This is inseparable from his 2 years of cultivation in the abusive style. Chu Feiyun has already mastered the 3 sword techniques at the martial level. Why is the sky cloudy? Chu Feiyun had some doubts and looked up at the sky, suddenly standing in a daze. He was afraid that he would never forget this scene in front of him in his lifetime. I saw a pale dragon that was 100 meters long and as thick as a water tank, falling rapidly towards the location of Chu Feiyun. Not good. Chu Feiyun let out a loud cry and immediately grabbed the black and white beans into his arms with his left arm, rushing towards the waterfall. Bomb! Bomb! Suddenly, the mountains shook and the earth shook. The 100-meter-long body of the pale dragon smashed into the forest, emitting a huge roar. The huge dragon body was deeply buried in the soil, and a large forest was directly crushed. Several small hills were also shattered by the impact. Hoo, luckily we escaped fast enough, otherwise we'll be finished playing. Chu Feiyun popped his head out of the pond, and 2 small beasts also poked their heads out. Ah! 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 Boom! The pale dragon let out a painful howl from its mouth, swayed its massive body several times, and as a result, several small hills were smashed and shattered, causing sand and stones to roll and dust to fly. The pale dragon struggled to stand up with great effort, so it decided not to move anymore. Several huge wounds intertwined on its body, and white bones were visible in the flesh and blood. Every wound was bleeding with pitch-black blood, and most of the basin-sized scales on its body were already shattered and broken. Tianluo, have you finally given up? That's right, I'll give you a happy one. It's useless to procrastinate, no one will come to save you. I've already set up a soundproof formation around this forest before. Hiss. A 7th-level heavenly dragon, a great material for feeding poisonous creatures. Haha. A black-robed old man stood in the sky, with an icon embroidered on his right chest that resembled a small stove. He laughed wildly. On both sides, there were also a middle-aged man in a grey robe floating. Their eyes were dull and there was no sound, and there was a spider-like pattern on their foreheads. Chapter 3. Tianluo Maple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The dark dragon said angrily, "Evil ghost, you will kill me with 2 spider puppets at the level of martial saint. If you weren't insidious and sneaky, you would want to hurt me with your cultivation. Bah! Son of a bitch." The old man in the black robe sneered and said, "Hee hee. So what? You don't understand the truth that the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. It's strange that you heard what you shouldn't have heard." The pale dragon roared, "Are you not afraid of being punished by the Lingwu palace for making such a move?" After hearing the words of the pale dragon, the old man in the black robe showed a hint of mockery on his face. Lingwu palace. Hee hee, have you forgotten about the incident of the heavenly demon sect 14 years ago? How does demon compare to us? Lingwu palace has no room to interfere with our affairs. How easy is it for you to be an old man? Today I will drag you even if I die. Kill. With a loud roar, the pale dragon suddenly saw dozens of green giant trees with cone-shaped tips appear above its head. Go. As the pale dragon roared again, all the green giant wooden spikes rushed towards the black-robed old man and his 3 companions with a whistling wind. Hiss. Your innate ability is nothing more than that. Spider puppet, block it. The black-robed old man and the two gray-robed men on his left and right immediately stood in front of him, changing their fingerprints and leaving hand shadows in the air. The gray true energy in their hands continued to condense with the fingerprints, and finally a gray shield about 1 meter wide and 2 meters high was condensed. The gray liquid true energy on the shield continued to flow, and the giant shield completely blocked the three behind. An unexpected scene occurred, as green giant wooden spikes followed one after another but pierced through the shield like nothing. Phantom shadow, damn it, I fell for it. The evil ghost felt uncomfortable and quickly retreated back, quickly changing the hand print. The black true energy in his hand rolled over, and the evil ghost quickly tied a black shield in front of him. But it was too late, and a green fire dragon that was thick enough to be a bucket hit the gray shield with a loud roar after the virtual shadow of the green giant would. Bang! Ow! The giant shield instantly shattered, and the two gray-robed men were completely covered by green flames, rolling all over with flames. The two of them kept howling, and in an instant, they had turned into flying ash. At the next moment, the green fire dragon had shattered the black shield in front of the evil ghost. When it bombarded the evil ghost, the green fire dragon was no longer as thick as its arms, but its power was still astonishing. Pop! Pop pop! The blood of the evil ghost spewed out wildly, falling from the air, and at this moment, the green fire dragon also dissipated. Cutting grass requires rooting out. This was Tianluo's first thought. The pale dragon quickly shrank and eventually transformed into a middle-aged man in a green robe covered in ferocious wounds. He slowly walked towards the place where the evil ghost had fallen. Chu Feiyun and the two little beasts were already stunned by the battle in the sky just now. Just as they regained their senses, driven by curiosity, Chu Feiyun followed behind Tianluo like a ghost. "Ha, I said even if I die, I'll pull you up. Go to hell." Tianluo's right hand once again turned into a dragon claw, and green light flickered above the dragon claw. Tianluo swung his dragon claw and quickly patted the motionless demon lying on the ground. At this moment, the evil ghost was completely pierced by a green dragon on its chest, with a burnt wound. Goose snake. I saw the evil ghost suddenly open its eyes, with a fierce light in their eyes. With a loud roar, a black python covered in blood streaks jumped out of its sleeve and flew fiercely towards the falling maple. Ah! The massive body of the black python completely entangled the Tianluo maple and kept shrinking, opening its bloodthirsty mouth to fiercely bite it. Its sharp teeth, like steel nails, flickered with cold light in its mouth. Seek death, beast. Ah! 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 Tianluo let out a deafening roar from the mouth of a dragon, and its claws inserted into the body of the black python with a plop and kept pulling, causing blood to gush out of the python. Ah! 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 The python let out a scream and its body was completely torn apart by the dragon's claws, turning into pieces of meat and splattering with blood. Although Tianluo tore apart the black python at the last moment, his body was also injured again. In addition, he had just exhausted his life force and used his own life dragon inflammation. At this point, he had no strength left. The evil ghost was also severely injured by the green fire dragon, and the witch snake was also damaged by the killing spirit just now, so he was no longer able to take action. Tianluo lay on the ground and suddenly shouted, "Kid, come out quickly. I have something to entrust to you." "Is he calling me?" Chu Feiyun hesitated a bit. Tianluo roared again, "What about you, disabled arm kid? Come out quickly. If you help me with this, I will definitely repay you. It seems that it has really been discovered." Although Chu Feiyun was helpless, he knew he could no longer conceal it and had no choice but to step out. Tianluo sat on the ground, his eyes flashing with a hint of brilliance. "Good kid, you have already reached the rank of 8th level martial artists at a young age. your talent is good. Are you from the Heavenly Dragon Empire? The Heavenly Dragon is the sacred beast of the Heavenly Dragon Empire, and Chu Feiyun naturally dared not disrespect him. He politely replied, "Yes, Senior, I am from the Xiaoyuan Kingdom under the Heavenly Dragon Empire." Tianluo seemed to suddenly think of something. "Are you not from Tianlong Academy?" "Yes, Senior, I'm not even 15 years old this year." Chu Feiyun dared not conceal and answered honestly. He had already learned from his grandfather that only those who reached the age of 16 and were under 20 years old, with strength above the 6th level martial arts, could enter the Tianlong Academy for cultivation. This time, Tianluo Feng was completely blinded and muttered to himself, "A 14-year-old 8th level martial artist, is he not the core disciple of the great Confucian Pavilion, or a disciple of the Zhou family? Is he the little devil of the heart-refining sect? But judging from his strong attire, he doesn't look like a Confucian or an array-refining master. He doesn't have any demonic aura, nor does he look like a member of the demon sect. After all, it's important to focus on serious matters." Tianluo regained his composure and said in a deep voice, "Since you are a member of the Heavenly Dragon Empire, go and kill the black-robed man lying over there. He is a member of the Gu refining sect in the 5 demon sections. This time, his plan to infiltrate our Heavenly Dragon is not up to 10% of his original strength. Killing him is easy." Chu Feiyun felt a bit conflicted in his heart. He had never killed anyone before, but when he thought that he was a member of the demon realm and had an affair with the Heavenly Dragon, he hesitated for a moment before finally gritting his teeth and walking step by step towards the evil ghost. There was a hint of approval in Tianluo's eyes. Chu Feiyun drew a black heavy sword from behind and held it high above his head with one hand. Sword and wind blade. Chu Feiyun let out a sharp roar, and the 8 sword shadows fell along with him. "Tianluo, if you want this kid to kill me, it's really ridiculous. Kill me." In the midst of the evil ghost's wild laughter, a palm imprinted and a black light palm was seen rushing directly towards Chu Feiyun. Bang bang. Puff. The 8 sword shadows immediately shattered, and Chu Feiyun was knocked away by a powerful black light palm. "That's it. I didn't expect the evil ghost to have more energy left, but unfortunately this kid is." The falling maple let out a mournful sigh. "I must kill you, definitely." After squeezing out these words from his teeth, Chu Feiyun miraculously got up again. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stumbled towards the evil ghost again. "Good kid, I didn't misjudge anyone." Tianluo Maple's eyes sparkled with brilliance. "Damn it, why is this kid's vitality so tenacious? But you still can't escape today, Gu Feng." The evil ghost used its last bit of strength to shout, and suddenly a large group of black poisonous bees flew out of its sleeve, flying towards Chu Feiyun like a sky and earth. Ah! 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 Roar! Roar! Black beans and white beans roared at the same time. Because the evil ghost acted too quickly just now, the 2 little beasts did not react. Seeing Chu Feiyun injured but not helping themselves, they were very frustrated. This time, they said nothing and will not let Chu Feiyun be hurt again. "For the barbecue, go ahead." The 2 little ones thought to themselves. Who? A black and white flame rushed towards the bee colony, leaving only charred venomous bee corpses wherever it passed. Ah! Roar! The 2 little beasts saw that all the venomous bees were scorched, and they shook their heads and tails, feeling extremely happy. The greedy white beans even went to taste their own masterpiece, but soon spat it out in one gulp and made a nauseating appearance, which was very interesting. The evil ghost was completely hopeless. "I didn't expect that the deacon of my Tang Tang Gu refining sect would die at the hands of a little ghost with only 8th level strength." Single sword slash. The black sword shadow flashed by, blood splattered everywhere, and the head of the evil ghost flew out. Who? Chu Feiyun sat slumped on the ground, panting heavily and wearing tattered blood clothes. It's too dangerous, thanks to the black and white beans. Chu Feiyun walked slowly to Tianluo and said, Senior, Chu Feiyun has fulfilled his mission. Good kid, I didn't misjudge anyone. Put your hand over and lend me some strength. Tianluo Feng said slowly with a pale complexion at this moment. Chu Feiyun placed his hand on Tianluo's wrist, and a hint of green internal strength flowed into Tianluo's body. What a pure inner strength, is it that he belongs to the royal family? Tianluo Maple's secret passage. Finally, a hint of blood appeared on Tianluo's face. All right, little one, that's enough. Cha. Tianluo tore off a large piece of fabric from his body and wrote with his fingers dipped in the black blood on his body. Chapter 4. Tianlong Arm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 5. Refining Talismans. You are listening at novelfull.audio. One day, Tianluo smiled at Chu Feiyun and said, Yuner, you can now use your right hand to complete daily tasks. Today, I will give you a challenging project. Grandpa, why is he so fond of laughing lately? Isn't he sick? Chu Feiyun felt a bit strange that since he had his right arm, his grandfather has been laughing every day, and his laughter is always so cunning. What project? Embroidery. Ah. Grandpa, what did you say about embroidery? I didn't hear it wrong, did I? Yes, it's embroidery. If you want your right hand to become as agile as your left hand, this is the fastest training method. Keep going. As Tianluo spoke, he threw a small bundle to Chu Feiyun. When Chu Feiyun opened it, he almost fell. Inside was a piece of white cloth, a picture of a peacock opening its screen, various colored wire bundles, and about 10 embroidery needles of varying sizes and thicknesses. Now Chu Feiyun's difficult days have come. For the next 3 months, he will be showing off every day, showing off every day. His left hand has been punctured countless times, and his right hand has been pinched and broken countless embroidery needles. Finally, Grandpa, you should definitely pass this time. On a white cloth covered in bloodstains, a proud peacock was displaying its beautiful feathers. Time always flows away unintentionally. Now that Chu Feiyun has just turned 15 years old, he has reached the peak of 8th level martial arts, and his internal strength has filled 2/3 of his dantian. With half a year of cruel training from Sword Elder, Chu Feiyun can finally use the Tianlong Arm with ease, and his dexterity is no less than that of his left hand. On this day Tianluo smiled and said, Yuner, from today on, Grandpa won't teach you anymore. Chu Feiyun was greatly surprised and quickly said, Grandpa, why? Is there anything I can't do well in? You misunderstood, Yuner. I said I didn't teach you, but someone else taught you on my behalf. Tianluo's smile on the ground this time is very meaningful. Does someone replace Grandpa? Who is it? Chu Feiyun was full of doubts. He only knew that his grandfather knew martial arts and was mysterious. No one else around him knew martial arts anymore. Old lady, I've been teaching Yuner for 2 years now. Shouldn't you give me a hand now? Dead old man, you're the only one who talks a lot, Yuner. From today on, for a year, my grandmother will teach you a skill that can both fight and give you the ability to eat. The old woman cast a glance at the sword and spoke in astonishment. Chu Feiyun didn't even turn his head and said, Grandma, you. Yuner, both your grandfather and I have some special identities. As for why we fell into this small village, you shouldn't know it now. On the day when your martial arts are successful, you will know. The old woman's eyes were constantly changing with various expressions of desolation, melancholy, anger, and unwillingness. Grandma, I understand now. One day, I will become your pride. Although Chu Feiyun is young, he is much more mature than his peers. At this point, his tone is clear and firm in his heart. The old woman said solemnly, All right, let's get straight to the point. In the coming year, what I'm going to teach you is refining talismans. Refining talismans. Chu Feiyun is a bit confused. Yes, people who can refine talismans are called talismans masters. As one of the four masters, the identity of a talisman master is undoubtedly very noble. Becoming a talisman master is the dream of countless people. Speaking of this, the old woman exuded a unique pride. For refiners. Chu Feiyun became even more confused. Well, the four alchemists include alchemists, array refiners, and weapon refiners. Let's not mention anything else, let's just talk about alchemists. Alchemists are known for refining talismans, and the process of refining talismans is simply to absorb the essence of heaven and earth as a medium and store it as power. As soon as the old woman said this, she smiled all over her face. It was the first time in all these years that Chu Feiyun had seen his grandmother look like this. "Grandma, I didn't quite understand what I heard." So many new terms confused Chu Feiyun. "It's okay, I'll explain it slowly in the future." Firstly, the items needed to refine talismans include rune pens, essence and blood, and rune paper. I won't go into that for now. Let me demonstrate it to you first. At this moment, there were 3 items on the small square table at home. A green brush with a purple tip, a stack of rectangular paper about the size of a palm that was slightly yellowish, and a small bottle of bright red blood. The old woman picked up the green brush and dipped it in the small bottle, and the tip of the brush suddenly turned blood red. Watch it. The old woman held a pen in her right hand and drew an unknown symbol on a yellowed paper, which was a circle, a dot, a curve, and a curve. Chu Feiyun looked a bit dizzy. "Yuner, here is the second step of refining blood and entering talismans. Watch it." At this moment, the old woman held a talisman paper filled with strange symbols between her index and middle fingers. Her fingertips continuously emitted purple true energy, which then surged towards the yellowed paper. As the purple true energy continued to seep in, all the strange symbols on the talisman paper shone brightly. Gathering. The purple true energy completely disappeared, but the strange symbols' radiance did not diminish. A surprising scene occurred, where red highlights kept gathering towards the talisman paper in the air. Finally, the talisman paper was completely surrounded by the red highlights, and a red light cluster appeared in front of Chu Feiyun. Collect. I saw the red essence continuously pouring into the talisman paper and finally completely disappearing from sight, and a talisman was refined like this. Yuner, have you seen it clearly? See it clearly. The old woman solemnly said, "Okay, for the next 6 months, you will practice drawing talismans every day because in the end, gathering the essence of heaven and earth requires using your own true qi to stimulate the essence and blood symbols. You haven't condensed your true qi yet, so there's no need to practice for now. Let's leave this fire bullet talisman for your reference. Here are these 2 books for you, memorize them all, and I think your memory should not be a problem." Chu Feiyun glanced at the 2 pamphlets in his hand, one of which read, "Introduction to Refining Talismans" and the other read, "Complete Collection of Martial Arts Talismans." Chu Feiyun embarked on his path to becoming a talisman refining master. The most important thing in refining talismans is stability, and one must calm down. The key to drawing essence and blood talismans is to pause, make mistakes, and be fluent. Ice talismans refining runes, wind blade talismans refining runes, wood stab talismans refining runes. 6 months later, the thunderbolt talisman has become. Chu Feiyun put down the talisman in his hand, and the most difficult martial artist to refine, the thunderstrike, was finally refined by himself. At this moment, there were about 100 talismans in front of Chu Feiyun, covering his small wooden bed. However, they were still semi-finished and had not yet been used to stimulate the essence and blood symbols to absorb the essence of heaven and earth. Chu Feiyun's super strong memory helped him write down all the contents of 2 pamphlets in just 3 days. In the past 6 months, he has been able to proficiently draw various talismans, and the speed is not slow. This surprised the old woman very much. She thought it would be great if Chu Feiyun could draw several of them within 6 months. It should be noted that drawing talismans is the most important and difficult step in refining talismans. Because once a small mistake is made during the process of drawing talismans, the entire talisman will be scrapped. It is good for ordinary people with better talents to draw all these hundreds of talismans within 5 years, while it is normal for those with lower qualifications to use them for 20 years. I didn't expect that although Yun Er's roots and understanding of martial arts were average, he did have such a high talent in refining talismans. The success rate of drawing talismans could reach 70%. When I was his age, I was only 50%, so I was praised as a genius. Yun Er is truly a demon. This is the old woman's final exclamation. Currently, there is nothing left to teach him, because with his current strength, it is not necessary for him to draw higher level talismans, and he has mastered all low level talismans. This made the old woman very distressed. Chu Feiyun's learning speed completely disrupted her plan. She thought that Chu Feiyun's time before arriving at the martial arts master was not enough to learn how to refine talismans, but now, Grandma, the Thunderbolt talisman has become another one. Ah! The old woman has an impulse to vomit blood. Yun Er, my plan is ahead of schedule. If nothing unexpected happens, you will soon know your background. Tianluo's expression was somewhat melancholic. Really? Chu Feiyun looked at his grandfather's face and instinctively realized that his background must be very unusual. Chapter 6. Integrating the Origin of the Heavenly Dragon. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Clear sky for thousands of miles, white clouds drifting. Chu Feiyun sat naked in the center of the courtyard, with Tianluo's face somewhat solemn as he said, "Is Yun Er ready?" Chu Feiyun was also very nervous at the moment. "Yun Er, Tianluo has said that there won't be too much problem, you don't have to worry too much." Actually, Tianluo's heart was also a bit uneasy. "Got it, Grandpa, let's start." "Okay. Focus." Tianluo pressed his palm on Chu Feiyun's right wrist, and saw strands of pure white true energy flowing continuously from Tianluo's palm towards Chu Feiyun's right arm. Soon, the true energy reached the first dragon winding chain pattern between his wrist and elbow, completely enveloping it and continuously pushing upwards. "Yun Er, that's it." Chu Feiyun bit through his left index finger and used internal force to force a drop of blood essence. Chu Feiyun moved his index finger over the dragon winding chain pattern on his right arm, which was being wrapped in white true qi. Pop! Blood essence dripped onto the pattern of the dragon winding chain. Ah! Click! As the sound of the rubber tripod between the bones continued to ring, Chu Feiyun's right arm muscle rapidly expanded, and green dragon scales constantly appeared. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a green dragon arm about 3 times the size of an ordinary person's arm. At this point, the black symbols around the dragon winding chain pattern also turned blood red, shining brightly. One by one, the virtual shadows of the blood symbols kept floating and surging towards the dragon winding chain pattern. Soon, all the virtual shadows of the blood symbols disappeared, and instead, a chain virtual shadow wrapped around a mini dragon slowly emerged. Roar! A huge dragon roar rang out, and the mini dragon phantom kept twisting its body, with its tangled black chains making a creaking sound. Ah! The mini dragon roared again and bit its teeth onto the chain, twisting its body even more violently. G. Pop! After making a few more noises, the chain could no longer withstand the tearing of the mini dragon, and the entire chain burst completely. Ah! Ah! The mini dragon screamed excitedly, then plunged into the green dragon's arm and swam continuously until it finally entered Chu Feiyun's dantian. Ah! Chu Feiyun screamed in pain, realizing that the green mini dragon was tumbling and constantly beating in Chu Feiyun's elixir field. This little creature was much more ferocious than the red mini dragon transformed by the blood pattern dragon fruit last time. Yuner, quickly surround it with your essence and blood. That's the bloodline power and true chi source of Tianluo maple. Your body's pure Tianlong bloodline should be able to refine it. Tianluo shouted anxiously. Who? Sweat kept gushing out from his naked body, and Chu Feiyun gasped for breath. Inside, he saw the essence and blood in the elixir field constantly approaching the mini dragon. The mini dragon was also very cunning, and even though he knew there was danger, he kept dodging flexibly. Finally, all the essence and blood in Chu Feiyun's elixir field completely surrounded the mini dragon and rushed forward. Ow! The mini dragon let out a painful scream and slowly disappeared. Finally, it was completely refined by green essence. The essence that had been refined by the mini dragon boiled in the dantian, and after a moment of turmoil, it finally turned into countless strands and spread towards Chu Feiyun's entire meridians. Ah! Chu Feiyun roared in even greater pain, with blood droplets constantly oozing out of his pores. Old man, will Yuner be okay? The old woman was also very anxious at this moment. Tianluo's face was solemn. It's okay, it's the process of blood fusion now, nothing will happen. Chu Feiyun sat in silence for 3 days. On the first day, blood beads oozed out and his expression was ferocious. On the second day, dirt flowed out of his pores and his painful expression disappeared. On the third day, Chu Feiyun was completely covered by blood-colored dirt. On the morning of the fourth day, pop. The blood-colored dirt on Chu Feiyun's body kept cracking and finally completely shattered, with 2 shining rays. Chu Feiyun rubbed his eyes and shook his black long hair, and a strand of black long hair on his forehead turned green at some point. How comfortable. Chu Feiyun stood up, stretched lazily, and shook his neck a few more times. Peepa. The sound of bone-to-bone explosions kept ringing, and at this moment, Chu Feiyun's skin was as healthy as a new wheat color, very shiny. His right arm had reverted back to the shape of a human arm, and the original pattern of 3 dragons winding chains was also missing 1, and the black symbol was also missing some. Well, Yuner, can you put on your pants and show off your figure again? Tianluo smiled and said. Ah! Chu Feiyun suddenly realized that he was completely naked. He immediately covered his hips with both hands, his face turning red and swollen. He turned around and ran naked towards the cabin like a fly, haha. Are you still a child after all? Chu Feiyun took a shower and changed his clothes before walking out, with a slight blush still on his face. Tianluo smiled and said, don't be shy. Your grandmother and I used to help you take a shower when you were a child. I haven't seen anything. Tell me quickly, how do you feel now? My whole body is full of strength. Chu Feiyun walked towards a 100-pound stone that was commonly used for training. Ha! Is it so easy to lift it up? Chu Feiyun shook the stone with one hand. The strength of the left hand is about 1,000 pounds, and the strength of the right hand is about 3,000 pounds. Chu Feiyun excitedly said. Good guy, the heavenly dragon arm has almost surpassed the power of a mid-level martial artist. The heavenly dragon holy beast's arm is indeed extraordinary. What else? Has its strength advanced? Tianluo was also very excited and asked again. Strength, my goodness. Grandpa, I have actually reached the realm of 9th level martial artists. No, it's the peak of 9th level martial artists. Chu Feiyun looked inside and shouted excitedly at Dantian. Tianluo smiled again and said, well, although this is only the first seal that contains the least amount of true energy, the effect is even better than expected. Hey, what's this? Oh my god. I'm not dreaming, am I? I'm really angry. Grandpa, I actually have real chi. Chu Feiyun looked inside the dantian and realized that there was actually a trace of true energy in it. He shouted hysterically. What? True Qi. Yuner, you're not mistaken, are you? How can you cultivate true Qi without reaching the realm of martial arts? Tianluo was completely shocked. Chu Feiyun pinched his thigh fiercely and said, Hey yo. It hurts. It's true, Grandpa. I'm not dreaming. I have true energy now, I can refine complete talismans. Happiness came too quickly, and Chu Feiyun couldn't accept it for a moment. After pinching his thigh hard and feeling pain, he finally woke up and kept shouting incessantly. In fact, it is easy to understand that true Qi appeared in Chu Feiyun's dantian. The previous green mini-dragon was the source of true Qi and a small part of the essence blood of Tianluo Feng. In addition, Chu Feiyun's own bloodline is very pure and comparable to that of ordinary Tianlong holy beasts. After refining the mini-dragon, his own essence blood completely blends with Tianluo Feng's essence blood. Moreover, Chu Feiyun, who had already reached the 8th level of strength, possessed internal strength. When encountering the true energy source of Tianluo Maple, he underwent a qualitative transformation, generating a trace of true energy. I thought Yuner's achievements in this life were bound to be limited, so it seems like I really should tell him something. But I can't say my story yet, but once the soul-destroying sword is born, everything will be hidden. Oh, forget it, let's take it one step at a time. At this moment, Tianluo's heart was conflicted, and his eyes were complex. The next day, according to the Lingwu calendar, November 13, 0016, is the 16th birthday of Chu Feiyun. Chu Feiyun has never been happier on this day, either because he has finally reached adulthood or because the Sword Elder promised to tell him his identity tonight. Chapter 7. Sword Old's Heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Feiyun was munching on the sesame oil cake that his grandmother had baked, and his mouth was full of oil. After swallowing a piece, he grabbed a roast goose leg from the plate and tore it. Occasionally, he also took a sip of shaojiu brewed by his grandfather himself. Speaking of which, drinking was still under the command of Tianluo. Tianluo said that as an adult, he would become a man, and that men should have the appearance of men and must be able to drink. Chu Feiyun had no choice but to comply. Watching Chu Feiyun's happy expression, Tianluo's eyebrows showed a hint of hesitation. He struggled for a moment and sighed before saying, Yuner, I've been hiding from you for so long. Now that you're an adult and your strength has reached the rank of 9th level martial artists, I'll tell you everything I know today. Chu Feiyun immediately stopped eating and drinking and stared intently at Tianluo, a longing that could be seen in his eyes. Speaking of which, 16 years ago today, I went up the mountain alone to hunt. Tianluo's gaze was deep, and his memories began. The scorching sun hung high, and a middle-aged man wearing a black heavy sword and a brown strong suit was sitting under a big tree to cool off. Beside him lay a dead big bear, and if you look closely, you can see a thin bloodstain on its neck. At this moment, the middle-aged man was sweating from his temples. He took a wine gourd from his waist, opened the lid, and entered the sweet spring. He couldn't help but sigh, what a hot day. But tonight we have roasted bear paws to eat. It's not in vain, hee. At the same time, a man in white was carrying a little baby and running rapidly in the forest. The baby's right arm was covered in blood and flesh, with white bones hanging from it faintly visible. The baby cried tragically. The man in white was covered in bloodstains all over his body, with more than a dozen wounds crisscrossing. His face was pale, and blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. However, the persistence could still be seen in his gaze. Cold Wind, you've been running for 3 days and 3 nights. You've almost run out of oil and your lights are dead. Stop and suffer. A man in black closely followed the man in white and shouted loudly. The man in white really stopped, put the little baby aside, and looked straight at the man in black, because he knew that in his current state, he would sooner or later be caught up by the man in black. It was better for him to fight and die with him when there was still room for him. You figured it out. That's right, just accept it. The man in black said as he thrust his long sword towards the man in white. Then let's die together, the spirit heaven origin technique. The man in white let out a loud roar, his whole body boiling with blood and energy. His momentum suddenly surged, and his black true energy surged rapidly all over his body, continuously converging to the right with his fist. He did not dodge the long sword that was stabbed, but instead threw a huge black light fist directly at the man in black. Ling Tianyuan Shu. How could you know the secret technique of your sect? Damn it, it must be that despicable woman. The man in black was somewhat surprised, but at this moment, the arrow had to be fired on the crossbow, and he held his sword and faced the fist. Bang! Puff! The sound of bones shattering and howling rang out one after another. The long sword pierced into the right chest of the man in white, and blood slowly spread out through the white shirt. However, because the man in white used his secret technique to surpass the man in black, this punch actually caused his sternum to sink. The man in black immediately spat out blood and flew backwards. Bang! The man in white fell face down towards the yellow earth, and after using the spirit heaven origin technique, he was so severely injured that he had no strength left and felt that his life was constantly losing. You truly deserve to be the leader of the 9 demon guards. At this point, you still have such means, but you can only do so. Aren't you doing this all for him? Then I'll kill this little bastard first. The man in black slowly got up and walked towards the disabled baby. You bastard, don't. The man in white lay on the ground and shouted loudly. Don't blame me, just blame your father. The man in black stabbed his long sword straight at the little baby. Ah! Just as the tip of the sword was about to touch the baby, a white sword flash suddenly flashed, and the black-clad man's head splattered with blood. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a black heavy sword on his right shoulder appeared behind the headless corpse and whispered, no matter who you are, no matter what the reason is, you can still inflict such a cruel hand on a baby. It's not against heaven for me to punish you. The middle-aged man walked up to the man in white and patted him, saying, Hey, are you dead? The man in white cast a pleading gaze at the middle-aged man and said, Please. Take good care of young Lord, 1. Sure. The man in white took his last breath. The middle-aged man walked up to the baby and picked it up, then turned around and walked towards the deep forest. Looking at him, he couldn't help but say, what a poor little guy. From now on, you can follow me. This is the story from Tianluo's memory. Grandpa, are you saying I'm not your own grandson? Who are my parents? I'm just a poor child saved by you. Chu Feiyun was extremely excited at this moment, his eyes wide open, and he could see bulging veins around his neck. He grabbed onto Tianluo's collar tightly and shouted loudly. Although I had long thought that Chu Feiyun would exhibit this kind of behavior, Tianluo still felt heartbroken when he saw him like this. Tianluo sighed and said calmly, Yes, Yuner, everything is true. I saved you. In fact, we have been hiding from you for so many years and it's not easy for us. But Yuner, have you ever thought about a question? At least now it seems that your parents may be alive. From what the man in white said back then, it seems that you were not abandoned by them, but rather because they encountered some trouble and let the servants take you away. This completely shows that they love you. Yeah, Yuner, you will definitely see your parents in the future. The old woman also comforted. My parents may not have died yet. Do I have parents? Do they love me? Yes. It must be like this, they disregard their own safety and only want me to survive. Dad, Mom, I will definitely find you, no matter the ends of the world. At this moment, Chu Feiyun was extremely excited and couldn't calm down. He knelt down with a loud bang and kowtowed 3 times to the old swordsman and the old woman before lifting his head and saying, "Thank you, Grandpa, for your life-saving kindness back then. Thank you, the two of you, for your nurturing kindness over the past 16 years. No matter when, you will all be my grandparents, my closest people. I will always be filial to you. Be good, Yunner. Grandma didn't hurt you for nothing. Get up quickly, it's cool on the ground." The old woman wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes and said with a smile, "Old lady, really, what are you crying about? We should be happy. Dead old man, aren't your eyes also red?" Chu Feiyun suddenly asked, "By the way, Grandpa, did you take my name?" Upon hearing this, Tianluo's eyes flashed with a strange expression, but he quickly recovered. "This is not true, because when I brought you back, there was a jade pendant engraved with the word Chu around your neck. Plus, the 2 characters Feiyun were embroidered on the belly bag you were wearing back then, so we called you Chu Feiyun. So it's like this, no way. Grandpa, I'm going to practice now. Only by becoming stronger can I have the face to meet Sister Cheer, the ability to find my parents, and know my true identity." Speaking, Chu Feiyun strode towards the outside. Looking at Chu Feiyun's back, the old woman whispered to Tianluo, "Why don't you tell him everything completely?" Tianluo sighed and breathed a sigh. "If he shows such talent again with his current strength, even with you and me fighting to protect each other, it will be difficult to escape the hands of those guys. Therefore, it is still better for Yunner not to know now. When Yunner's martial arts have achieved some success, we will find an opportunity to inform them, and they will protect him. That's all I have to do." Chapter 8. Farewell with Injury. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In recent days, the villagers have discovered a strange phenomenon. There are colorful essences gathering above the courtyard of Master Jian's house every day. Everyone believes that this is because Master Jian is usually well behaved and has the protection of immortals. Therefore, everyone has shown more respect to Master Jian, which makes him a bit embarrassed. In the small courtyard, Chu Feiyun's index and middle fingers were sandwiched between a piece of talisman paper filled with strange symbols. Suddenly, a hint of green true energy seeped out of his fingertips, and the green true energy quickly seeped into the talisman paper. The symbols on the talisman paper suddenly shone brightly, and then white highlights continuously appeared in the sky above the talisman paper, collectively surging towards it. Collect. The light on the talisman paper grew stronger and stronger, and Chu Feiyun let out a soft drink. The light disappeared instantly, and the white essence in the sky also dissipated. Chu Feiyun looked at the talisman in his hand and smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth, saying, "The last, semi-finished, Fengxing talisman has also become a finished product." For the next 3 months, Chu Feiyun would use his true qi to refine blood into talismans every day, and then guide the essence of heaven and earth. Unconsciously, the original 100 or so semi-finished talismans had all become finished products, and they could be easily used with just one stimulation of his true qi. The speed at which Chu Feiyun refined talismans surprised the old woman once again. Chu Feiyun's cultivation has not been delayed either. Since he integrated a part of the essence and true qi of Tianluo maple, Chu Feiyun's cultivation speed has greatly increased, and now he is at least in the upper middle position. He is currently in the peak state of a 9th-level warrior, with abundant and surging internal energy. However, it is still difficult to convert it into true qi, and it will take some time to break through this bottle top. Chu Feiyun's trace of true qi can be said to have been completely obtained by chance. To be precise, that trace of true qi was transformed from the source of the true qi of the Tianluo maple, and was not cultivated by him. Yunner, take a break. Come in, Grandpa has something to tell you. The voice of Tianluo came to mind from the cabin. Chu Feiyun walked into the small room with a large stack of talismans and looked at the old woman with a helpless expression, saying, "Grandma, I've taken care of everything. Most of the talismans I refine are of medium grade, only 8 of them are of high grade. Talismans are divided into 4 levels. Teacher level, king level, emperor level, saint level, emperor level, and immortal level. Each level is further divided into 4 levels. Lower, middle, upper, and Ju. The old woman was already speechless to him, and it was truly demonic that she could refine talismans that exceeded her own strength by 3 levels. Tianluo looked at the helpless appearance of the old woman and smiled, saying, "Old lady, I can't accept you anymore." The old woman glanced at Tianluo and didn't speak again. Tianluo said to Chu Feiyun again, "Yuner, it's only 3 months until June. Tianlong Academy recruits students every year at this time. We're planning to have you depart for Tianlong Academy tomorrow. What do you think?" "Really? That's great, Grandpa. I'll go collect my things now." Chu Feiyun suddenly exclaimed with enthusiasm and ran to his own cabin as if flying. This child is really. The next day, in front of the courtyard door. Chu Feiyun is wearing a blue strong suit today, carrying a black heavy sword on his back, and his entire right arm is wrapped in a white bandage, leaving no gap from his shoulder to his wrist. There's no way, the black symbol and dragon chain pattern on Chu Feiyun's right arm are too eye-catching. Chu Feiyun can't expose his heavenly dragon arm until absolutely necessary. Although the climate of the heavenly dragon empire is suitable, as long as he doesn't take off his shirt, he won't be discovered. However, for safety reasons, this is undoubtedly the arrangement of Sword Elder. A gust of fresh wind blew by, and the strand of green hair in front of Chu Feiyun's forehead fluttered in the wind. The shadow of his hair reflected the scar at the corner of Chu Feiyun's eyes. Between his hair, one could see his resolute gaze and sharp face. His burly body, about 1.85 meters tall, all proved that the small and emaciated young man had grown up. "Yuner, take this bundle with you. It contains 50 taels of silver, changed clothes, a pair of cloth shoes made by grandma for you, some dry food, your favorite cured meat and talismans. Yuner, be careful on your way to avoid any trouble. If you are short of money, you can sell a talisman, and..." The old woman said and wiped the corners of her eyes, which turned slightly red. "All right, old lady, Yuner is not a child anymore. Don't worry so much. I won't say much else, but if you can tolerate things, endure them. If you can't, you know, everything still depends on your grandparents. Let's take advantage of the early weather and leave quickly." Tianluo said earnestly. "I'm leaving." Chu Feiyun didn't say much and ran away, but just as he turned around, tears still streamed down his face. "Grandpa, I will become stronger, and then I will help you relieve your worries." Chu Feiyun's resolute shout rang out from afar. This child. At this moment, Tianluo realized that his heart had been seen so deeply by Chu Feiyun at some point, and the corners of his eyes were moist. He smiled contentedly. "You two guys. Don't lick. Don't lick. It's itchy. Boss, these are my new pants. Hurry up." As soon as Chu Feiyun entered the forest, Baido pounced on him, touching and licking his face. Even the usually stubborn black doe was biting at the hem of Chu Feiyun's pants. These days, Chu Feiyun has been busy refining talismans and hasn't come to see them. These two guys have long been so greedy, of course, because they miss Chu Feiyun very much. Chu Feiyun touched the soft hair of the white bean and looked at the black bean beside his leg, saying reluctantly, "I really have to leave this time. Maybe it will be a long time before I come back." "Let go." "All right. Be good, I promise you will come back to see you in the future." White beans are still clinging to Chu Feiyun's arms, and black beans are also reluctant to let go. "Are you willing to come with me?" Chu Feiyun suddenly asked. The two little ones hesitated a bit. "Then let me go." Chu Feiyun put down White Bean and touched Black Bean's forehead again. Black Bean's eyes were complicated and he finally let go. Chu Feiyun turned around and walked out of the deep forest, feeling a bit lonely. After Chu Feiyun just left, White Bean roared at Black Bean, "Oh, oh. Will we still have barbecue to eat in the future?" Black Bean roared at White Bean, "Roar. You idiot. He's already gone, can you bake?" Ouch. What should I do? Baido scratched his head. Roar. You're such an idiot. Chase. Black Bean looked contemptuous. Ow. But. White Bean still hesitated. Roar. That's bullshit, I don't care about you anymore. Black Bean ran towards the direction where Chu Feiyun had left. Ow. Oh, forget it, for the barbecue, AI. Black Bean, wait for me. Baido also ran over along. Chu Feiyun could see a hint of desolation between his eyebrows and occasionally muttered to himself, I really can't bear to part with these two little guys. What's going on, Baido? Why did you come with me? Are you planning to come with me again? Itchy. Chu Feiyun asked with some surprise. At this moment, Baido had climbed onto Chu Feiyun's shoulder and was licking his ear, nodding to Chu Feiyun. Where are the black beans? Didn't they come? Chu Feiyun has some regrets. Why does the backpack seem to have become heavy? Chu Feiyun felt a bit strange as he took off his backpack and was momentarily stunned. He smiled and said, You guy, I know we can't do without you. Originally, at this moment, Black Bean was sleeping soundly in Chu Feiyun's backpack. Tianlong Academy, I'm Chu Feiyun here. What will be waiting for this 16-year-old boy, who is full of ambition for a moment? Note. The origin of the Tianlong Empire and Tianlong Academy. In the Middle Ages, 3rd Ancient Yuan Dynasty, the spirit beast Tianlong clan, with the participation of the Lingwu Palace and various major sects, finally stopped the war against Zhou and gained control of the empire. The condition is to allow the Zhou family, the former imperial family, to continue to remain within the empire in the form of an aristocratic family. As a result, the Zhou state was renamed as the Heavenly Dragon Empire, and it was inconvenient to manage the empire because the spirit beasts reached the 7th level, equivalent to the level of a human martial saint, in order to transform. So the transformation members of the Tianlong Holy Beast clan sought out many human powerhouses within the empire who were not surnamed Zhou, and the offspring they produced were all human but had spiritual animal bloodlines, allowing them to rule the empire. The spirit beast Tianlong clan retreated behind the scenes and lay in the Tianlong Valley. From then on, the Tianlong became the totem of the Tianlong Empire, and the Tianlong Valley also became the holy land of the Tianlong Empire. In order to enhance the strength of the empire, the Heavenly Dragon Academy was established, jointly managed by the human powerhouses of the Heavenly Dragon and a small number of transformed Heavenly Dragon holy beasts. Here, the imperial people with the Heavenly Dragon bloodline can learn many human martial arts and the unique moves of the Heavenly Dragon clan. In addition, if one of them meets the required strength and can receive recognition from an unshaped Heavenly Dragon holy beast, they will become a Heavenly Dragon Knight, with one person and one dragon as one powerful entity. Except for the Heavenly Dao Empire, other empires followed suit one after another. The Heavenly Dragon Empire gained a great reputation for a time, and its strength became second only to the Heavenly Dao Empire among the 5 empires. It remained unchanged for tens of thousands of years, and the Heavenly Dragon Academy became the cradle of imperial strength. Being able to enter the Heavenly Dragon Academy became the dream of countless Heavenly Dragon people. Chapter 9. Wind and Rain City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If the small and weak principalities of Xiaoyuan Kingdom are only scattered on the edge of the Tianlong Empire, the land is not so fertile, and resources are also very limited, because the empire is too lazy to manage. That's why there are so many principalities. Fengfeng City is one of the 12 main cities of the Tianlong Empire, under the direct jurisdiction of the empire. Its prosperity is second only to Tianlong City, where the imperial capital is located, and Zhou City, where the Zhou family is located. It is not comparable to a weak and small principality like Xiaoyuan Kingdom. Looking back on that day, Chu Feiyun sighed a bit. In this world, only strength is the absolute truth. That day, when Chu Feiyun was about to leave Xiaoyuan Kingdom, he was stopped by the soldiers stationed at the city gate. After Chu Feiyun explained his intention to go, the soldier was shocked and quickly notified the captain of the defending city. The captain asked Chu Feiyun to stay overnight no matter what. Chu Feiyun felt that he had no ill intentions and time was not very tight, so he agreed. To his surprise, on the same evening, the lord of Xiaoyuan Kingdom personally hosted a banquet for him, even his grandparents were honored as guests. At the banquet, Chu Feiyun became the undisputed protagonist, and as soon as the lord spoke, he became sworn brothers with him. Some influential figures also speak with sincerity and laughter, which greatly surprised Chu Feiyun. Isn't it just to register for Tianlong Academy? I haven't been admitted yet, why is it so exaggerated? Later, I learned from the drunken lord that Chu Feiyun was actually the first person from Xiaoyuan Kingdom to meet the admission criteria of Tianlong Academy in so many years. In the words of the lord, he could finally lift his head in front of other lords. No wonder he was so excited. Unconsciously, Chu Feiyun had already left Xiaoyuan Kingdom for 5 days. During these 5 days, he had been constantly traveling during the day and camping in the woods at night. When he was hungry, he ate some dry food and preserved meat from his bags. It's not that he doesn't want to stay at the inn, but that Chu Feiyun doesn't like trouble. If he finds the inn every day, it will delay a lot of time and require a lot of silver. In Chu Feiyun's opinion, there will still be more places to spend money in the future, so he shouldn't be too extravagant. Looking at the 3 gilded characters Wind and Rain City on the tall city wall ahead, Chu Feiyun couldn't help but sigh. Wind and Rain City has finally arrived. It's time to find an inn to rest for a few days. Hey! Hey! Why are you two guys so greedy and sleepy? Get up now. Chu Feiyun patted the white bean sleeping soundly on his shoulder and the black bean sleeping soundly in his backpack, but these 2 guys remained indifferent. Chu Feiyun's eyes showed a clever plan. Delicious, haha. This is delicious. Chu Feiyun deliberately raised his voice. Ouch. Where is it? Roar. Don't steal it yourself. White Bean suddenly roared and stood on Chu Feiyun's shoulder, shaking his head and looking around, while Black Bean leapt up to Chu Feiyun's head, roaring as if searching for something. Once you enter the city, there will be delicious food. Chu Feiyun smiled and strode towards the city gate. The 2 soldiers guarding the gate asked about Chu Feiyun's background, and Chu Feiyun released his breath slightly and explained his purpose before easily entering the city. Even 2 ordinary soldiers guarding the gate have the strength of a 6th-level warrior, truly deserving of being the 3rd largest city in the empire. Chu Feiyun couldn't help but sigh. Bingtanghulu, sweet and sour. Baozi, hot dog meat baozi. Authentic dager, glutinous rice rolls with sweet bean flour, eat 1 want 2. The sound of small vendors shouting incessantly. It's really lively. There's no way to compare Ping'an Town to this place. Chu Feiyun was attracted by the prosperity of this city and occasionally looked around. And his tall body, strong figure, sharp and angular face, jet black xuanmu, scars on the corners of his eyes, a strand of green hair on his forehead, a black heavy sword on his back, and the snow-white little beast on his shoulders, Black Beans sleeping in the bundle again, all created a huge attraction for the people around him. Some nostalgic girls occasionally cast strange gazes, but Chu Feiyun, who was stunned, ignored them. This steamed bun tastes really good. Auntie, give me 20 of them. How much does it cost in total? Chu Feiyun chewed on the steamed buns in his mouth and said vaguely. The white beans on his left shoulder were also very delicious, and his small head was swaying. At some point, the black beans ran out and picked up a steamed bun, sitting on Chu Feiyun's right shoulder and devouring it. Young man, you are really born with a dignified appearance. I don't know which girl will have good luck marrying you. With you here, my business is much better. These 20 buns are free. The lady who sold steamed buns intentionally or unintentionally glanced at the young women around Chu Feiyun, causing them to blush. Han turned his head and remained silent. How sorry about that. 1 or 2 silver is almost enough. Chu Feiyun suddenly realized that there were many people gathered around him. They looked at him like monsters, some of whom even had saliva dripping from their mouths. Damn it, it was too scary. Unable to bear it anymore, Chu Feiyun threw down 1 or 2 silver coins and ran away like flying away. Young man, there's a lot of money, I'll give you the change. A few young girls in their early years woke up from their fantasies about selling steamed buns just now, but they couldn't see the heroic and imposing man anymore. Chu Feiyun ignored him and kept walking. He didn't want to be surrounded like a monster. Finally, he bought a large straw hat from an uncle to cover his face. However, many people still noticed him, but there were fewer women. Am I that strange? Chu Feiyun couldn't help but sigh. Kid, no matter how strong you are, you can beat so many of us. You've injured so many of my brothers, and today I won't waste you. How can my money leopard still stand in the wind and rain city? Brothers, kill him for me. A commotion echoed into Chu Feiyun's ears. Chapter 10. Lin Kong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Feiyun walked towards the sound source and squeezed open a large group of people to see the situation inside clearly. I saw a young man standing in the center of the crowd, who was not much taller than himself and even more burly than himself. There were 7 or 8 people lying next to him, their mouths still emitting painful screams. The leader of the group of people opposite the burly man was the man who called himself Li Tianbao. There's so much nonsense, I can't reason with you either. Come on. At this moment, the burly young man was already scarred, with bloodstains hanging from the corner of his mouth, but his momentum did not diminish. As he spoke, he punched at the group of people rushing towards him. Shoo! Click it. Fresh blood splattered open, and the young man did not hide from the long sword of an 8th Order warrior in front of him. He directly punched the 8th Order warrior and threw him away, with a clear and audible sound of his bones shattering. Good guy, this guy's strength is almost as strong as my Tianlong Arm. But he seems to have poor martial arts. His body shape is not flexible enough, and he can't even do ordinary dodges well. It has to be said that the burly young man is really powerful. With just one punch, every person who rushes forward will seize the opportunity to be hit by him with a punch. Speaking of his own situation, this combat method is still very suitable for him. But this guy's strength is about 8th level, and the opponent is all 7th or 8th level warriors. The one led by him should have reached 9th level. Although he is powerful, if he continues like this. Watching the man's face turn increasingly pale due to excessive blood loss, Chu Feiyun couldn't help but ask the people around him the reason for the situation. After listening to everyone's description and looking at the burly man's coarse linen clothes and the bag of rice beside him, he couldn't help but have a conclusion in his heart. After hesitating for a moment, Chu Feiyun walked up to Li Tianbao and said, "Can you listen to me next, brother? Speak of your mother. Where did that wild boy come from?" Originally, Li Tianbao was causing trouble because so many brothers were injured by this boy carrying rice. It was unclear where a meddler came from, which made him even more angry. He swung his hammer and threw it at Chu Feiyun. "Didn't you brush your teeth in the morning?" Chu Feiyun spoke in a cold voice, saying that he, who had no father or mother since childhood, would not allow others to insult his mother. Bang! The sound of metal swords echoed, while Chu Feiyun remained motionless, while Li Tianbao was shaken back several meters. Stop it all. Li Tianbao's tiger mouth was in excruciating pain, and he instinctively felt that the person carrying the black épée was extraordinary and immediately stopped. Everyone has stopped. I have understood the reason for this matter. It was just that my brother next to me accidentally bumped into one of your brothers, and then he refused to let go. This brother also acted out of self-defense. As for the medical expenses for injuring your brothers, I paid for it. There are 40 taels of silver here, which is enough to treat your brother's injuries. This matter has been raised. What do you think, Brother Li? Chu Feiyun's words were continuous, with a tone that was neither humble nor overbearing, and his words were truly speechless. Okay, today I'll sell you face to this little brother, just as he said. Kid, don't let me see you again in the wind and rain city, withdraw. Li Tianbao took the money bag thrown by Chu Feiyun, first arched his hand at Chu Feiyun, then pointed at the burly man and shouted. Finally, his opponent stepped down and turned away. Big brother, but... Li Tianbao and his subordinates felt unwilling. Pop. Li Tianbao slapped him in the face. I can't speak well, can't I? Let's go. The man dared not speak anymore, and everyone lifted up their brothers on the ground and left. Thank you very much, what's your name? The burly man's tone was indifferent. Chu Feiyun. And you? Chu Feiyun didn't expect him to have such an attitude, but he still answered and asked in reverse. Lin Kong. The burly man replied with an indifferent tone and then added, I owe you one favor. After speaking, he walked away. Chu Feiyun did not catch up. To be honest, he was not very fond of Lin Kong's promise. What a strange person. How could I be so indifferent? Did I do something wrong? Oh, there's only 9 taels of silver left. Tonight, let's stay with the beasts in the forest. Chu Feiyun muttered helplessly. Boss, why don't you depose him? The person who was slapped just now complained to Li Tianbao. You don't understand anything. You think I don't want to. Do you know how terrifying the guy who carried the black épée later on was? Maybe he has already reached the ranks of martial artists, and we are opponents. Li Tianbao recalled just now that he had not even seen when the opponent drew the sword and was shaken back, while the other person remained motionless. Martial artist. Boss, is he really that scary? Li Tianbao's gaze was fierce and he said, Nonsense, but I won't let them go so easily. Let's first investigate his origins and go back and ask the 4 elders to personally come forward. See if we can defeat him. A younger brother said with a sense of empathy, It's definitely not a problem for the 4 elders to come forward. But do you need it, big brother? Li Tianbao frowned and said, I always feel like neither of them is ordinary.